Welcome to Emerging Business Leaders, Where Are They Now? My name is Sharice Walker. I am Vice President of Talent Insights with the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance. Emerging Business Leaders is a 6-month talent development program designed to enhance the leadership capability of high potential diverse professionals. As we prepare for our 9th class, we thought it would be important to look back on previous class members to see what they've been up to and what they actually got out of participating in Emerging Business Leaders, or what we like to call EBL. So I'm going to have our recent graduate, Frank Nelson, who is also with the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance, facilitate a conversation with some EBL alum. With that, I'm going to have Frank take it away.
Thank you, Sharice. Certainly looking forward to this conversation. Welcome, everyone. I hope everyone's doing okay out there. You guys doing all right?
Doing great, Frank.
Doing good.
Excellent. Hey, one of the first things I like to do is just go around. Let's do a round robin here and tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, and your role, and which EBL class that you were in. I want to start with you, Bradley.
Sure. I'm happy to go first. Thanks for having me on. My name is Brad Brogdon. I'm an architect. I guess I'm a project manager by day with a company called Gensler. We're the largest firm in the world. We have around 70 folks here in Charlotte, but we have 50 offices globally. I had to do some digging for this. It's been longer than I thought, but I was a part of EBL Class 5. I guess it's been 4 years ago now, which is sort of shocking to me to say out loud, but really enjoyed the class and happy to be a part of the conversation. Thanks, Frank.
Excellent. Sarah?
Sure. I'm Sarah Garrison. I work with Atrium Health. I'm a senior manager in our marketing department and oversee our sports marketing and corporate events team. I was a part of EBL Class 4. Also, Brad had to inquire with the Alliance. So what class was I in? It has been a while, but always had a great experience and happy to have this discussion with you guys today.
Excellent. Thank you. Last but not least, Jalen.
Well, I'm definitely going to embrace the last but not least piece. I'm Jalen Rice. I'm actually more recent. I'm actually a part of Class 7. Work for Paymentus Corporation here in Charlotte. Overall umbrella is financial technology, emphasis on payment processing, and there I serve as an operation analyst in our client operations division. So making sure that our processes are good, making sure that everything runs the best that we need it to. And again, as others have said, I'm excited to not only participate, but be back and be able to see how others' experience has been shaped since leaving the program. So glad that you guys had me.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Jalen. Thank you, everyone. My name is Frank Nelson. I'm the Director of Investor Relations at the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance. Been there for the last 5 years. I participated in EBL Class 8. It was a great experience, and we just completed that, just a couple of months ago. So I would just love to get some insight from you guys on what life looks like post EBL. If we can start with you, Jalen, first this time. Coming into the program, what did you expect to get out of it?
Well, I went into the EBL program actually looking to connect with other leaders from the other markets and industries throughout Charlotte. I wanted to take those leaders' expertise and connect it with mine so that I could expand my knowledge, which for me would allow me to increase my footprint in my industry and the overall Charlotte market. I think when I began the program, I was at a very unique place in my career in that, I would say the easiest way is I was excelling, but I felt a bit of kind of in an autopilot place. So I was really going into it looking to kind of reinvigorate my mindset and be able to pull a lot of expertise for other individuals for where they were at in their career. So I really just went into it with an extremely open mind and looking to gain a lot of knowledge.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Sarah, what about you?
Well, I would say I went into EBL looking to learn more from others than to really grow myself. I mean, obviously I wanted to grow as a leader, and I wasn't looking to like leave Atrium Health or leave my role, but just how I could grow as a person. I would say the people that I've met through EBL have helped me just shape who I am and learn more about other industries in Charlotte, and really to just see, how we can grow as individuals, but not only how we can grow ourselves, but how we can help others grow. So I would say EBL was a great part of, I could learn about people and people that were different than me, but were also excelling in their industry. And it was a great experience.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I can round it out, but I'll just twofold for me. One, the class of EBL that I was in, I think I had just been in Charlotte maybe for 3 years, and so I was sort of at the nexus of trying to build what was going to become my professional network in a city that I would say my wife and I had identified as a place we wanted to build our career. So for me, I think EBL served as maybe the first, I don't know what you call a Rolodex nowadays, but that was the first group of people that maybe would start to build the catalog of what my professional network might look like. And the reason I said it was twofold is architects have a terrible tendency of only hanging out with architects. And we have, and this is true in a lot of industries, sort of like healthcare, Sarah, but there's a lot of professional groups that are affiliated with architects that are only architects, or the vendors that serve those architects, or the engineers that work with those architects. And I think I was actually the only person from the construction industry in my class, which was wonderful because I don't hang out with people from Atrium Health or from financial services firms or that are accountants, particularly in Charlotte. So for me, it was an introduction to the Charlotte business community that candidly, I think it would have taken me a lot longer to get to know if it wasn't for the class.
Brad, I agree with that, because I was able to connect with a competitor healthcare space that I probably wouldn't have been in the room with previously. And we became like fast friends, and everyone was like, but you're competitors, and like, but you're good people. So it doesn't matter. You can still learn from each other. So I think, EBL opened the door for something like that.
That's one of the unique things about the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance. We are, well, I think the only organization that really convenes across companies and across industries. So with that, I noticed the theme of that connection with all of you guys. Question for you, and anyone please jump in on this one. What was most impactful about EBL, and also were there relationships that were created that were significant?
Sure, I'll start, and I'll say this very selfishly, but the most direct result of EBL is I'm still I'm the board chair for the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance Young Professionals Group, and I don't think my spot on that board happens if it weren't for EBL. I know that for a fact, and so not only that, but because of my role as the chair for the Young Professionals Board, I'm also on the executive committee for the Alliance at large, and for me to have been in this community for 6 years and have a seat at that table makes zero sense to me, and I still wonder exactly how it happened. But that EBL sort of nudge through the door of that digital Rolodex that I was trying to build has been totally ridiculous, and I mean that in every sense of the word. And the fact that I am on a first name basis and talk weekly, not just to people like Charisse, but to people like Janet and Fred Whitfield and Tom and all these guys that I get to work with on a daily basis, I can quite literally say that EBL is the reason that that's happening, which is sort of shocking for me to say out loud, and I probably haven't thought about it until this phone call. So I'm glad you set it up.
Thank you. Jalen, have you seen anything similar?
I definitely have. I think, kind of to piggyback, I think even having the opportunity when you're kind of in the hustle and bustle of your career and your job, sometimes it's not as easy to be able to tap back and get into the networking space outside of the sphere that you're in. So I've always found that it's most interesting that when I'm in my mind thinking about the next networking opportunity, I'll usually get an email about one from the Alliance. So to be able to kind of have it from an out of sight, out of mind kind of stance, before to always drop in like a gem right when you need it, and to be able to reconnect and network through those events. And even sometimes, again, just let your hair down and for that moment, while also being able to, again, get information from people that are navigating the markets that you're connected to or not even that connected to, I think just further affirms how important it is and how vital it is to be a part of such a great network. So again, can't give kudos enough for being so grateful to be a part of the network.
Thanks, Jalen.
Something,
Sarah, anything?
yeah, something that I got out of EBL is new teammates, actually. So I had client or previous EBL people refer people into jobs. And I would say that's been amazing. As soon as they said, oh, they were in EBL with me and I really respect them and appreciate them, I knew right off the bat they were a good candidate. So obviously you still have to go through the interview process, but that automatically sets you up on kind of a pedestal over other people. And so that was something that EBL has given back to me that I was maybe not expecting going into it.
Excellent, thank you. Another question for you guys. In my experience with this last class, the content was absolutely phenomenal. We've talked about things from design thinking to leadership, and a lot about the current situation with racial disparities and the COVID-19. From the content from your classes, is there anything that you remember or learned that holds significance for you?
So I can remember when we had one of our first sessions at the Center for Intentional Learning, and right off the bat, you're in a room with all these strangers and you have to get really vulnerable. And I think I remember going into one group, and what first came into my mind was maybe something I didn't want to share with people. But by the end of the day, I was willing to open up and share. And I was like, I'm going to put myself fully into this and really give it my all. And I don't think that I would have done that without this experience. So I might have messed the question up, but.
No, well, I don't think you did, because I agree completely. I remember that day very specifically, and I still talk to Mike Whitehead and John every now and then from that event. And now actually there's somebody from that institute on our board, on the YP board. So that was a great organization. And there were several other speakers and topics that were just phenomenal. And again, and I'm probably speaking sort of selfishly, but not only did I get a lot out of it personally, but most of those entities or organizations we continue to call back on, and we use them for our YP programming. And a lot of those relationships have cultivated into, and candidly, I'm on other boards like the Johnson YMCA board. I utilize those connections throughout my network. And so not only did I get a ton out of it from a professional development capacity, which I think I did, but the relationships, I think, just as much are a testament to what the class offered.
I was going to say, interesting enough, if I can bring it home, I actually was going to say the Center for Intentional Leadership as well. That's a huge plug for them. But like Sarah said, I know going into it, you don't really know what to expect from that first session. So you kind of go in with a little bit of your guard up, for lack of better terms. But to be able, I remember in my particular session, it was even a young lady that began to cry because she was talking about how the session was challenging her to really tap into her entrepreneurial side. And I was sitting there like, this is amazing that not only is this forum here where someone feels they can be that expressive, but that she felt that comfortable. And it kind of, to me, set the cadence for how we move throughout the other sessions. So again, so interesting that session was so prevalent in all of our dialogues.
It's definitely a good way to start out EBL, because it breaks down those barriers right off the bat and helps you get comfortable, whether or not you want to get comfortable or not.
Yeah, it might help you get uncomfortable. Maybe that's what it does. Yeah.
It's amazing you guys have agreement on that, because, I found that to be very impactful also. Going into the session, I'm not one to be vulnerable at work, but Sarah, as you mentioned, Mike Whitehead and his team, they break you down and they make it get real quick. So I appreciate you guys' insight on that. You know, in looking at your career since EBL, have any of your roles changed? And has your participation in EBL, how did that factor into it?
I guess I'll start. The short version is yes. And obviously there are several factors that come into play, and I'll give a little bit of context, but I'll try and be short. I like to think that I've always sort of taken on the role as team leader when I can help it. And this is like hearkening back to, playing basketball at the Y when you're an 8-year-old and want to be the team captain. But so maybe I've always sort of had that drive, but I can tell you from a professional development perspective, up until that class, my other experience working in architecture firms were small. I mean, 5-person outfit, 12-person outfit, where team leads really don't exist. The owner of the company is a team lead. And Gensler is a company with 5,600 employees in 50 countries around the world. And when I went into EBL, I was someone who worked on a team. And not super long after EBL, maybe a year after EBL, I started being given teams to manage. And I would say that some of what came out of that class is a direct response to me being put in that position, because I think the leadership traits that you're taught, and candidly, probably some of what we just talked about, learning how to have vulnerable conversations with teammates, particularly some that might be older than you. Those of us that are on the phone right now, I think oftentimes probably get asked to manage up. And that class also did some talking about that, particularly given where we are in 2020. And so I don't want to say it's an absolute one-for-one direct result, but I can promise you the role that I'm in right now would have taken longer had it not been for EBL.
Excellent. Thank you.
I agree with that, Brad. And I think too that companies that invest in EBL invest in their employees knowing that those are, blossoming leaders. They're not going to put somebody in an EBL class that they're unsure of, or that they think will just sort of stay in the same role year after year. And so I have increased my capacity within the same department at Atrium Health since I was in EBL. And I think it's because the leaders at Atrium saw that in me, and that's why they gave me the opportunity to be a part of EBL, because they wanted to see me grow within our company. So I think that's a pretty neat thing to see as well, and sort of go back to thank our leaders for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah,
Sarah.
I agree with that.
It's interesting you said that, because the first thing that I jotted down was an extreme return of investment for as far as when you bring someone into the program. I think for me, it was huge for creating an intersection for my growth, not only professionally, but personally. One of the things I remember largely standing out is that at the end of EBL, you're always challenged to not only grow in your role, but also to go out into your community and make a difference. So I think it was also a huge thing that I carry as far as again, I'm excited to continue to grow professionally, and you're putting in that hard work, but I think it's a whole nother thing to be able to take that return of investment and also take it back to your community and help others as well. So I think EBL is a great return of investment as far as for meeting employers and employees at that intersection as well.
Great point.
Yep.
That's a great thought, because our interest at the Alliance is we're trying to build a competitive advantage for the region, and you guys and your accomplishments are certainly a part of that. What would you have to say to a company who is considering EBL for some of their high potential individuals?
I'm happy to go first because I've said it, and I've spoke this piece to my company directly, because given the current climate, and I don't think this is untrue for any company out there, everybody's looking at their budget and where they're giving money. And so I'm probably giving you a peek behind the curtain, and this is true for every organization that Gensler sponsors. Everyone who's been involved had to make a business case, and the Alliance was no different. And I went to bat pretty heavy and wrote, I think people were hoping for bullet point responses, and I wrote what was more like a 5-paragraph essay. But so I went to bat for the organization and the program, not just for me, but since I've been a part of it, Gensler has had 2 people in this class for the last few years, maybe 1 last year. And I think I've even gotten more out of the program seeing it in other people than I did myself, because it's sometimes introspection is maybe a little bit hard, and it's hard to quantify your growth immediately after the fact. But I can tell you, I see a palpable difference in my colleagues from when they start it to when they finish it, and that's sort of what I based my dialogue on, or myself for the program is. I don't have to do much talking. Take a look at those 4 people and tell me whether or not you think they're different now than they were 8 months ago. And I think it's a resounding yes.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Bradley.
Well, I'll jump in then, so that for once I'm not going to be the last. If you sort of think of it, it actually plays into how the program is branded, emerging business leaders. If you're to look at that piece of advice, you're really investing in who's going to be the next set of business leaders. So I think if you really not only couple all that we've discussed, but really look at how you guys have branded it, it's a no-brainer. I mean, again, I participated in other development programs like others probably have, but when you really are able to tap back into it through your normal walk and your normal day-to-day, that really speaks to the evolution of the program and what all has been put into it. So hands down, one of the best programs.
Thank you, Jayla.
Yeah, I know Atrium Health has definitely seen the return on investment for EBL participants. It's been great as well as an EBL participant with multiple people from my company to learn more about them as well. Sort of as Brad said, to see other people go through the program and connect with them to learn about why it is so important. I mean, I learned about things about Atrium Health that I didn't realize by just connecting with leaders from across the company because we are so large. And I feel like the banks and things of that have that success as well, because you may have somebody that's doing commercial banking and personal banking, and those 2 people don't typically connect. But EBL finds a way to build your leaders in your company up together. And I think that's a great reason that any company should be involved. Even if you're only allowed to have 1 person from each company, that person can build year after year with those who attend.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for those responses. You know, if you 3 are representative of what EBL produces, I'm looking forward to my time post EBL, and really looking forward to really encouraging other people to go through the program also. We're going to do one final round robin. Jalen, we're not going to make you last this time. Free thought, just final thoughts from each of you before we wrap up. Jalen, please.
My final thoughts would be that I'm extremely excited to be able to say that I am an emerging business leader. I walk into any company or any partnership, any meeting, you wear it as a badge of honor, which is one of the hugest accomplishments that you can get. Even interestingly enough, when I'm able to expand on what I learned when I'm talking to even in social circles, I think it again just speaks to how diverse the program and curriculum is. And again, I pride myself in saying that I'm a graduate of class 7. I'm going to call that the best class because I went through it. But it's such an exciting program. And again, something that I'm extremely proud to be a part of. And again, huge kudos to you guys for putting the time, energy into, bringing, again, emerging business leaders together.
Thank you, Jalen.
I'll go next. My final thoughts would be, if you're looking to become a leader, really don't always look at what you can get out of a program, but what you can provide and give to the program. I would say that I've been able to help other leaders and other businesses make connections with people who have been able to help them. So maybe I don't have the answers for everybody, but I know somebody who does, because I was a part of EBL, because I was on the YP board, because I did all these networking opportunities to get to know others. And so sometimes I think we walk into things selfishly to say, what can I get out of this? When really, what can I provide others that are there? And I think that is something that EBL taught me. And hopefully others can learn that as well, so that we can further spread the love in this community.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, I love it. That's a wonderful segue, and I'll use a bad architect term, but I routinely consider myself a conduit, or I like to think that one of the things I'm best at is connecting people. I almost never have the answers, but I usually know somebody who does, which is why I got the best job on the best job on a board is being the chair, because I'm actually not responsible for anything. I just have a really smart group of people around me that do all the work. But I mean, I think one of the biggest things that I got out of EBL, and I would encourage everybody to do, during this call, I wrote down on my notepad 3 different people from that class that I'm going to send a note to, just because this conversation made me think of them. And 2 of them have, since that class, started their own wildly successful businesses. So that tells you the caliber of people that were in that class. And so I think from a networking perspective, from a relationship building perspective, and from a professional development perspective, it's by a huge margin the best thing I've done since I've been in Charlotte, which would basically be forever, since this is my professional sort of nexus. So I really love the class, and I've enjoyed this conversation. Frank, I didn't know I was going to talk to you. I talked to you last week. You were the scribe in my session, so I'm pumped we're on the phone again together.
All right, good to see you again.
Yeah, and it's great to talk to you, Jalen, and Sharice. I've talked to you 4 times today, I think. And Sarah, I'm super pumped to see you. It's been a while, so I'm
A
glad
lot
we got
has
to
changed since I sat on the YP board, right?
Yeah, me and you both. But this was really great, and I enjoyed the program, and candidly, I'll say I enjoy these conversations. I consider this an extension of the program, and it's part of what I still get out of it today.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys. This has been very enlightening and inspirational for me, and I would encourage all of you, continue to engage with us at the Alliance and help us with our mission of making this economy the best in the nation. I'm going to sign off now. And again, my appreciation. And thank you to Sharice, and thank you for the EBL program. And we will be in touch with everyone soon.